Hey, everybody, Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast. And you know the drill by now. I'm going to be kicking the ball over to John, Randall, and I in just a little bit here. We've got the full crew in the house, and going to be splitting it up into a couple different chunks of conversation here. Mostly on the first chunk, I'm kind of talking about some of the demos that I've been playing recently, just kind of some really quick first impressions on those, including the Star Fox demo, the new Switch 2 version. So I just talk briefly about that, and then we kind of stem off of that and talk about some, inverted control schemes and then default controls and just various conversations that kind of spin off of those, various demos that I've been playing. And then we do talk a little bit. I actually found a standing desk at an abandoned office in the office building that I work in. And I was actually showing someone around that office room the other day. And I was like, oh, is this stuff all just up for grabs? And sure enough, there was a standing desk that I was able to bring on home with me. And so I've been really enjoying doing the podcast editing there. And then I was kind of just brainstorming, maybe even doing some streams over there. I did actually do all of the Pursuing Pixels James Jam Game Gam streams at the standing desk, which was only 2 streams, but I'll definitely have those videos up on the YouTube channel here pretty soon. And I usually dig into some of those games on the Save It for the Casts, but with John participating this time around, he was also able to dig into quite a few of the games. So next week's episode proper is just going to be John and I, and we'll definitely be talking a little bit about some of our experience with the games and just the overall game jam in general. So really excited to talk about some of that. And then the second half of conversation in the chunk coming up here is we're kind of just talking mostly about the new upcoming Wolverine for PS5, which DJ from the early days of the podcast kind of called to my attention. And after watching the video, he was pretty pumped on it, but I was just like, I don't know, this is a little too hardcore and violent for me. I'm hoping that you can maybe dial back some of those settings, but yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about that at the end of the conversation here. But yeah, as always, I got to talk about some of the stuff that I've been playing as well. And yeah, I just want to dig into a couple things that I've been playing on Switch actually, and one game that I'll just give some super first impressions on that I actually just played a little bit earlier today over the weekend here. I was helping my parents babysit my niece and nephew again. And as I've mentioned many times before on the podcast here, whether Save It for the Cast or episodes proper, my nephew's been on a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kick, which in turn has gotten me kind of feeling nostalgic and getting into the Ninja Turtles again as well. So I've been looking up like what other Turtles games are out there these days, and I think I've talked about a handful of them now, or at least a few on the podcast now at this point, and I was able to scoop up yet another one called Splintered Fate. And this is like a very Hades-inspired, traditional roguelike or roguelite, or I guess a modern traditional roguelite, where you're kind of grinding and there's a story and you can, unlock different, overall buffs for, permanent upgrades and stuff like that. And you can play as all 4 of the different turtles. One cool feature of this game, even back to like the GameCube days, there were a lot of Turtles games that, on the GameCube, it feels like any game that features the Turtles should be 4 players. And this Splintered Fate does add that into the mix, and I scooped this up actually physically and got the deluxe edition, which includes the Casey Jones DLC, and then I think they've even released a couple extra characters. I'm sure I probably won't get around to ever picking those up, but after just playing one run with my nephew earlier today before his parents came and picked him up, I had a lot of fun with that one, and I'm just playing the original Switch version, and I was playing on my original Switch. That's usually what I bring over to my parents' house when I'm helping babysit over there, because then we can plug in his Switch, my nephew's, as well, and play some of their games and, work off some of their save files and stuff like that. But yeah, even playing on the original Switch version, and it runs pretty smooth. I know there is a Switch 2 upgrade, which I'm probably going to snag because I think it's only an extra $250. I seem to recall this one being like one of the very first games that was released, maybe even on launch day of the Switch 2 that was available. So I'm excited to, I guess, see how much smoother or better it runs or whatever, but I really wasn't having any issues with the Switch 1 version. And obviously comparing it to Hades is maybe overselling it a little, but it was just really smooth. It definitely didn't have any of that jank that I don't know if it's Mutants Unleashed was the name of the other game. I'm like kind of mixing up the names of the movies and the games and whatnot at this point, but I think it was Mutants Unleashed that was really polished, had a great sense of style, and looked a lot like the movie Mutant Mayhem. I think I might be having those backwards there, but they really nailed the style on that one. But at least the Switch version, just not only the loading times, which I mentioned, which were extremely long, but just the gameplay got a little bit janky as well. I don't know how it fares on other platforms, but Splintered Fate here is just a really solid top-down isometric roguelite with some really nice production value. I really like the voice acting is really well done. And I'm looking forward to playing some more of this one by myself and with my nephew. But really happy that I own this one physically and add this one to my, I guess, Turtles collection of games on the shelf here. And then one other game that I've been playing quite a bit of on my Switch, and actually on my Switch 2 in this case, although I did grab both versions of it, is Cast and Chill. I can't remember if I've mentioned this one on the podcast just in passing to like Randall and John. Maybe it made it into a Save It for the Cast or something like that. But if you just see a screenshot of this game, it looks exactly like Kingdom, a side-scrolling, super detailed, parallax scrolling pixel art kind of situation. But instead of being like a tower defense kingdom builder, this is like just straight up a fishing game. And the name of the game, I'm probably going to talk about this one on a proper episode, so I won't get into it too much here. But they are really leaning into like the cast and chill. Like there's really no, other than just trying to like grab the biggest catch or whatever, just try to outdo your best scores or just, have a good time playing the game. There's like really no agenda other than to just kind of grind, earn money by catching fish, upgrade either your boat or how many fish you can store or your fishing rod or buy a bunch of different lures. But it's even to the point where like you can turn it on idle mode in this game and just kind of watch the computer, just use the, tools that you've equipped or acquired or whatever and see what they, can catch and just kind of let the game rack up some points. And you can even tweak the settings and say, okay, I don't want it to actually catch any trophy fish. I just want it to kind of grind and, catch some regular stuff, but I don't want it to like do anything amazing that I would want to, achieve on my own here. But I'll leave it kind of short and sweet because I do plan on talking about this one on a podcast proper. I will say I'm just like a little disappointed in it, and only in the sense that obviously if you've heard me talk about Kingdom in the past on the podcast, that's one of my all-time favorite games or series or whatever you want to call it. And I think this game is just missing a little bit of that second layer of whether it's like the tower defense or just like it just needs a little something extra, even though I do love that it's embracing the like super laid back, chill nature of the game. I do, I wish there was just a little bit more of like a day-night cycle where you're on some kind of timer. Maybe as you get further into the game, there'll be new locations that'll be like a tournament where you have to catch the biggest fish in a day or something like that. Like I'd love to see something like that to just add a little extra challenge or whatever you want to call it to the game, but still really looking forward to playing some more of this one and talking some more about it on a future episode of the podcast. And then to another demo that I just checked out real briefly, mostly because I was having some visual issues in the sense that it was just on a really small window and I couldn't really get it to populate any larger on my screen here. But the game is called Sting and Swing, very reminiscent, I guess, to the name Cast and Chill. But this game is like a side-scrolling kind of Metroidvania-esque golf platformer where it's totally cursor controlled and you play as this little bee, hence the name Sting and Swing, and you just kind of click somewhere on the screen and then drag back, kind of almost Angry Birds control scheme. And the further you drag back, the further you hit the shot or the harder you hit the shot. And there's like, little levers and switches to open different paths. And it's just really cool. You don't see a lot of side scrolling golf games, and I'd really like to see more of that because with Pin Golf and UFO 50, and I'm really kind of drawing a blank, maybe Curse to Golf, but that leans a little bit more into like the roguelike and the, puzzle platforming elements, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I'd like to see a little bit more side-scrolling arcade golf action because it's really, really cool stuff. I really get addicted, like, considering I was playing this game in just like a tiny little window and, dealing with, I was planning on recording a video for it and I couldn't get the OBS or whatever to cooperate properly, but I still ended up playing, 15, 20 minutes just on this tiny little, postage stamp size window on my computer, a little bit bigger than that, of course, but just got kind of hooked. I really like the pixel art and like the kind of dithering that they got going on. Just the overall aesthetic is really cool, and it's just doing something a little different. I'm really, really into this one. And then one more demo that I checked out just very briefly is a game called Gunny Ascend, and this one kind of caught my eye because I saw that there was either, I don't know if I saw it on social media or in the trailer, but there's a ton of unlockable characters. This is another kind of like roguelite, arcade puzzle platformer here. I guess I shouldn't say another, but another roguelike in that sense. And you kind of grind along and you can unlock a bunch of different characters, many of which are from other classic indie games like Shovel Knight or Stanley from the Stanley Parable. I think his name is Peppino from Pizza Tower. And it looks like there's just tons and tons of other like cameo characters, which is on its own a really cool feature. But then the gameplay itself, think of like a, an arena, Tetris style puzzle game where it's like, bricks falling. But in this case, it's more of a Wario's Woods kind of situation where you're controlling a character within that play space, and then you aren't actually having tiles drop. They're just kind of spawning, or no, they are dropping. I'm sorry. You have to catch them with your character, and then it will kind of show you what, tetromino shape or whatever that it is, and you can kind of spike it into the ground or place it wherever you want to form various lines and get different upgrades. And it's just really, really cleverly thought out. Like even the upgrades that you get throughout your run that are, just passive or permanent, buffs and upgrades and stuff like that, they're shaped like various different tetrominos, and it kind of works like in a traditional like Resident Evil inventory management kind of situation where you got to place the upgrades you want, and like, okay, I really want to use this one, but it's, kind of a weird shape, and it kind of eliminates some of the grid, and now I can't use this other upgrade that I would like to use. But you got to kind of pick and choose your favorites there, I guess, or the best combination. But just a really cool game that I really want to play a little more of. I actually didn't get around to recording a video for this one either, but definitely intend to, because just a really, really cool and interesting, fresh take on like the arcade puzzle platformer, arcade puzzler or whatever you want to call it, match 3 puzzler or line. I guess it's not really match 3, but yeah, making lines, line clearing puzzler or whatever you want to call it. Just really cool to see another new fresh take on it that's also, bringing in all these other awesome, classic indie characters into the fold. So just really, really cool stuff. A couple demos that I'm looking forward to playing some more of, along with a couple of games that I've recently scooped up that I'm looking forward to sinking my teeth a little bit deeper into in the coming weeks and months here. So like I said, I'll probably talk about some cast and chill on a future proper episode, and we'll hopefully dig into some TMNT Splintered Fate a little deeper as well, whether it's on a proper episode or a future save it for the cast. But I think I've done more than enough rambling at this point here, so I think I will wrap things up here and kick it over to John, Randall, and I for the rest of the episode here for a little bit more video games chit-chat. And I think I can leave it there, and until next week, we'll catch you then, and take care. Otherwise, I was going to talk about just some other demos that I've been playing. I played the Bubsy 4D demo, which I could talk about that. I did actually, they put up a demo for Star Fox, so I did actually play that.
The new,
the new Switch 2 version.
Nice.
And I like how they did that. I probably won't talk about that on the podcast, so I'll just mention briefly right now.
Yeah.
I like that they did it like they had like the tutorial. And then I assumed, it's just going to be, the first stage of the game. But they actually skipped that and went to like the asteroid section.
Nice.
And that was like the level that was in the game, which I thought was perfect. Because it was like, I do feel like that first stage is like so, like I'd almost feel like, I'm kind of mad at myself that I spoiled it playing it on the demo and like couldn't just ride into the full game. Where like, just throwing me into this kind of like open asteroid field. Or I don't know if it was the asteroid field level, but it was one of those like open, just like space levels. I think the second stage, if you're playing it in like the basic
Did it have
order.
monkey Gundams in it, or did it have a big robot with 2 hands that punches Slippy out of the air?
I don't remember. I don't have like that game memorized enough.
I do. I know that game beat for beat.
Yeah, like I definitely like am just like shooting stuff and like not really paying attention to anything that happens. But it was pretty cool. Like I'm not like over the moon, like, oh my God, I can't wait for this. But like I'm definitely not, it didn't sour me in any way to be like, oh man, I guess I'm not as pumped on this as I thought I would be. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to ripping through this game.
Yeah, still got it pre-ordered. I think it's coming out in tell, like a week, something like that.
Yeah, I know. It's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Is the y-axis inverted, and can you change that?
You can, yeah.
Interesting.
Like yes, and you can. And you can also use mouse controls. I didn't mess with that at all, but there's some kind of use of mouse controls. The one thing that I find weird about the inverted controls in that game, like I like it inverted for flying, but then there'll be moments where like I'm focusing on aiming and like I wish it could switch, or like I wish I could like reach over and use the right stick to like fine tune my aiming and like not have that be inverted or something like that. I don't know. Like, cause like there was like a boss battle towards the end of the demo where I was like going the opposite way that I intended to, but I was like, that wasn't messing me up during the level when I was flying around and trying to dodge stuff. I always went the way I wanted to go, up or down, but,
interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of wish you could, I don't know. I just find it like crosses some kind of wires in my brain that just doesn't let me like stay locked into like, that's just the control scheme,
Because that was a thing in Metroid Prime 4 that there was like 3 different inverted controls for, and one of them was kind of like it was controlling a beam like a ship, like, and so in my head I was like, yeah, it's just like Star Fox, but like you had to manually invert every single. Oh yeah, it was also lock on, so it was like regular aiming, lock on aiming, and then flying, and like they all were non-inverted to start, and like I would just be playing for a little bit and then I would introduce another one, and then suddenly I'd be like, oh my god, what the hell am I doing, and be aiming in the complete opposite direction and have to like go into the menu and it re-invert it for each separate item.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah
and annoying and tedious.
But I bet there are probably people who are like, oh, I like when it's inverted for X, but not for this. Like,
right.
So,
yeah. I guess better to have the option. Although, I don't love when like the options are like crippling, where you're like, oh my god, I can fine tune. Like, I like the idea of like being able to like customize like the dead zone on my controller, but at the same time, like, I don't even want to have to like think about having to tweak that, because then I'm like, oh, do I have it dialed in right, or is that messing me up? Did I change it too much?
Yeah, I typically only change from default once I like run into an issue. Like for mouse sensitivity, if like I'm trying to like whip around and then I'm like, oh my god, this is taking forever, it's so slow, then like I'll crank it up, but until then I'm like, I'll just play a default.
Yeah. Only thing that I will potentially switch right off the bat is like if a game doesn't have like the bottom face button as jump, then I'm just like, get that shit out of here. You bet. I'm like, if this game doesn't have custom controls, I'm never gonna play it. I guess I'm just never gonna play this game. Which thankfully on the Switch, it's tedious and kind of annoying to do, but you can like remap the controls within the system,
right?
So you can like force it to do that, but then you have to like remember that when you're on like the home screen that like B is now A and Z is now, you can like change it to whatever you want, but then that it will be that way until you revert it back. But I think you can. I might be speaking out of turn because this seems like now that like from Nintendo, this seems like no way. But I want to say I heard that you can like save like a profile like for a game, like where it's like, oh, I want this control scheme. But that kind of sounds more like a Steam thing.
Yeah, that would be shocking if Nintendo's on that wavelength these days. That seems like way more than they're ever willing to do for.
I don't know. That was an innovation of 10 or 15 years ago. It's just on the right timeline for them.
It really
to have adopted
is.
It.
It's really true. Yeah, that's fair. Oh God.
Yeah, right on cue, Nintendo. I still haven't played. I thought about one of the games that I was maybe going to talk about today, which I still haven't played yet at all. But I was like, I have the day off today. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll boot up that new Yoshi game and give it a shot. But I just didn't get around to it today. I ended up just watching a couple of World Cup games and relaxing and doing a little podcast editing this morning, which is so nice. Like I did it like at the standing desk, like got all the like stuff trimmed out of like both of your guys' audio. So then like on Thursday or Friday, I'll do my audio and then do the pass on Saturday. But I can just tell it's already making a difference not sitting down and
nice.
Like that's not like it sounds crazy, but like anything that I have to do that involves me sitting down is like a barrier. Like that's like one more hurdle that I have to like get over of like, oh, do I really want to edit right now? Like my body's already killing me. Or like even playing games, do I really want to sit like lately I've kind of had an itch to like play some more like Breath of the Wild or like I'm always talking about wanting to play like a bigger game or whatever. But Breath of the Wild's been like kind of nagging at the back of my brain for whatever reason. And I'm like, man, I want to like just like chill out like for the day with that game. But I just like, I can't imagine just like sitting all day and playing it. So then I never get around to actually playing it. But I'm hoping that, with like the standing desk, even having the option, maybe I'll hook up one of the switches over there. Just be like, I can have the option to stand and play over here.
It'd be kind of cool to try out that way.
Yeah. Or at least
especially
for, like,
with the more
doing,
motion-y type of stuff, that way it feels like it would be suitable for that.
Yeah. Or even for like if I'm doing any of the, like when I'm doing videos and stuff. Like one of the other demos I was going to mention possibly is this game called Mimic Meadows, which actually was originally a Pico 8 game just called Mimic.
Made by I know that one, yeah.
Made by someone in our Discord community, Soren, which still cracks me up to this day. Like so their name is Soren. It's like Souren, and then CHO is their username. So Soren Cho. Mm-hmm. But like I always read it as Sour and Cho. Mm-hmm. So like I remember like asking them like when they first like when I was first like chatting with them way back when. I was like, oh, is that like, I was like, I love that username. Is that like sour enchilada or whatever? They were just like, no, that's my name, Soren. Nice. And I was like, I was like so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, I feel like such an idiot. Here I am thinking you have like this clever, like, I don't know, just hilarious, like weird username. And it's just like, nope, that's just my name. Yep. But really cool. It's got a really cool art style. In this new version.
What's the new one called?
Mimic Meadows.
Mimic Meadows.
Really cool stuff. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention actually before we started like getting into the episode proper. Have any of you guys seen any of the trailers or like gameplay footage for the new Wolverine game coming out?
No.
Only saw that Wolverine's very hairy. Otherwise, I don't know much about it.
Okay, because like DJ sent me a video the other day. Like he was like, "Oh man, you got to see this new Wolverine game in action," and it was like one of those like extended like gameplay trailers, and like the gameplay looked like fun-ish, but the violence, oh my God! Like I have never been so put off by a video game. Like literally every single time you kill somebody, like you literally just like gut them with your claws and you're just like covered in blood. Like literally Wolverine just turns into like a drenched red, like and then it eventually just like wears off over time. But it is like so over the top. It's like if this is going to be the whole game, there's just no way,
Probably
man.
Is. He's the good guy.
There's just no way, but it kind of looked cool, and like some of the gameplay looked kind of like Uncharted stealth-esque, like or DJ had mentioned Last of Us, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess I played less of that, but I could see sneaking around, and like it looked like it had some cool elements, but I don't know.
And like this is Insomniac, like the Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank,
right?
Like, people like
And Spider-Man definitely did not lean into like that. I mean, they definitely
he's your
had
friendly
like,
neighborhood Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like they had villains that like they had guns and they're shooting at you and whatever, and there might have been like blood, but like not like this. Like this is literally like it's like pouring out in buckets, like every time you kill somebody, and then dousing Wolverine in it. It's like it's crazy. Like what Wolverine fan or X-Men fan is like craving that? I don't understand what they're thinking. I'm assuming it's a setting you can probably turn off. I feel like usually nowadays with like that kind of stuff, you can turn like blood on and off, and there's like a less violent version or something like that, especially for a superhero game. But even still, knowing that that's like the core like vision of the people that made it, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like one of the only like tentpole games from
from Sony's perspective,
Yeah.
And especially after like
the AAA stuff.
And I picked up that Spider-Man game on PS4, and like I liked it for like a little bit, but then eventually it just was like, this is just so repetitive.
Yeah.
The combat just felt so long and drawn out, and I do like that the little clip that DJ sent me, the gameplay like combat wise did look like a little bit more like, instead of Spider-Man is more that like Assassin's Creed style where it's like, oh, here's a group of enemies that's going to circle around you and just take turns, like taking shots, or until you beat them all up and take on the next wave. Or like this Wolverine clip looked more like you're navigating the level. Okay, here's a guy, I got to take him out so he doesn't alert the other guys. So it did look a little more, like designed, I guess, the encounters. But this is obviously just like a quick 7-minute clip of gameplay. That might have been just one specific mission about infiltrate this, base or whatever. But nonetheless, like I know
they've been hyping it for a while.
I know, and I was like really pumped, like because like DJ, like we text here and there, but like it's not like all that often that we text like out of the blue about a game,
right?
So like the fact that he was like, dude, you got to see this Wolverine trailer, it's amazing. I was like, oh man, like I was like, this must be nuts. And then I was like, I don't know about this, man. I'm not vibing.
Didn't he famously not have an agent though? It seems very likely that could be true. I think he like booked his own things like over the phone, if I remember
that
correctly.
Does sound like that. You saying that rings a bell. I do remember him saying. I remember it almost being a thing like he would reach out to you if he wanted to be in your movie kind of thing. Right?
And he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah, seriously. He doesn't want to be in any. He barely wants to be alive anymore, man. You look at him; he looks like just halfway in the grave, man.
Yeah, he's been on that energy for a minute.
I know. I think he does that on purpose though, because like he'll be at the award shows looking like he's about to die, but then he'll be like on a show, like on something else, and he looks a
something
little more
he wants to be
like
at.
put himself together, and I'm like, oh, he still looks pretty good. Like, he doesn't look like there was many years when I would keep seeing him at those at the Oscars or whatever, and I'm like, dude, he's gonna die tonight at the show. Like we're not gonna have any more Bill Murray movies.
He doesn't want to be there.